Hello. So this may not be a good idea. It's like 12:30 in the morning. I just woke up. I woke up to a message from a friend who I've been trying to work with. And this friend was very, very honest with me. And it pointed out some things that I think I should point out as well. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's a bad idea. There's no script here. I just woke up Sunday morning, 12:30 in the morning, and I got an extremely brutal text from somebody. But she made some very good points. See, one of the things about isolationism is that it convinces you that nothing out there is really worth the effort. That it's not so much not the effort, but it convinces you that nothing you will find outside of your little environment is worth the pain or worth the expense. And remember, I try to tell you that anything you do, anything we do, we shouldn't think of it as an expenditure. We should think of it as a muscle we are trying to build up. But isolation doesn't want to teach you that. Isolation wants to teach you, if I go out there, they will just take, and they'll never give anything back, because how could anybody give anything back? How could they give us something that we cannot get for ourselves already? So that gives you this arrogance, I think, that, or at least a risk of it, that safety in your isolation, that not wanting to reach out, not wanting to connect. But that's the point of being here, right? We're supposed to reach out. We're supposed to connect. Everything about the society I live in tells me that I am supposed to go out. I'm supposed to connect, while reinforcing absolutely everything about isolationism. I mean, we have never built a better society for isolating yourself. So I'm going to do this talk assuming that, as brutally honest as my friend was, they were absolutely accurate. That what can be done after the fact? You can't, I guess most guys, or at least a lot of guys, would take a message like that and just be furious or insecure about it. But my goal is to help. What is the point of any of this if it's not to help? If it's just self-aggrandization, if it's just arrogance, if it's just ego, what is the point of any of this? So, if you're like me, the isolation is comfortable. See, what's comfortable about isolation is nobody's really pushing back on anything you're thinking. Every thought that goes through your brain, there's no pushback on it. There's no consequences for it, because you've taken consequences out of the picture. It's hard to be rude to people when you don't interact with people. But at the same time, as painful as that message may have been, as painful as it may have been, it could also be productive. It certainly wasn't it wasn't a motivator to end my isolationism. This life is not easy. This may be the easiest time any human being has ever had to live, but life is still is not easy. If you're like me and your isolation is very tempting, it's very hard to give up your isolation. And I know that there's a lot of you out there. And you receive something like this that is brutally honest, and it hurts you, and you want, I don't even want to lash out. Maybe that's the benefit of having woken up early to check this message. I don't even want to lash out. I think that they are right, that I am desensitized to their feelings, because they have so many feelings that when you're in isolation, it gives you a lot of opportunity to deal with all of those feelings, especially if you turn it into work. If you turn it into work and then generate a work ethic, it's almost like static when those feelings that you've already dealt with are just tormenting somebody else. They're making it so that they have all these feelings and they can't stop moving and they can't stop acting and they can't stop interacting and they can't stop trying to force things to work the way they think they should work. But you've already dealt with those feelings because you've taken the time, whether you wanted to or not. It becomes noisy. All of those feelings, all of those things that are just repeating in people's minds again and again and again. You can watch them chase their own tails, and you try to help. But really, if you're an isolationist like me, that trying to help, we should do it more. We should do it more. I understand the motivation is, God, it's so noisy, but you want to interact. So noisy. And maybe that's arrogance. That perception of it as noisy. Maybe that is arrogance. Look, I don't think that this message is going to convince me to end my isolation. But what it does do is reinforce the understanding that if I'm going to do this, then I have to do it to help people. I have to do it to help people. If the cost of my isolation is other people's pain, discomfort, then that isolation, that pain, that discomfort, that has to mean something. At my age, nearing 50, am I too old a dog to learn new tricks, I wonder? I don't know. But maybe you're watching this and you're not as old as I am. Not as set in your ways, not as isolated. Even if they are just being intentionally rude or hurtful because something didn't work the way it was supposed to work in their estimation. If you get messages like this, I think you should pay attention to them. Because if we are doing damage to other people, then, okay, so I isolate myself. Maybe you do this too. And then when I reach out, when I reach out I do damage, I mean, that's incentive not to reach out anymore, right? I don't want to do damage. You don't want to do damage. So if that's going to be the net result of reaching out, then why should we reach out? And let me tell you why you should reach out. Because we are social beings. As isolated as I am still a social being. And all of this time and contemplation and work ethic that we put into trying to sort these things out for ourselves gains us experience. And what good is that experience if we never use it for anybody else's benefit? was the point of all of that experience if we don't use it to try and help somebody out? There's a cost to this kind of isolation. And it's not just to ourselves. We withhold ourselves from other people when that's probably not the way we should do it. I get it. I don't think that I will be ending my isolationist ways, but I should be more delicate, more gentle with people when I do reach out. And maybe that's true for you too. Because I look at the analytics of my channel, and a lot of them are men that are a lot like me. And really there are a lot of men like me that have chosen to isolate themselves. And why not? It's the greatest time in our history to do such a thing. From entertainment to work to making money and what can't you do in isolation anymore these days? And maybe the net result of this time, this iteration of reaching out, maybe the net result of that was a negative. Maybe I did cause harm. I don't think that should be inspiration for further isolation. I don't think that should be inspiration to not try again. Because if I tell you that pain like this should keep you further isolated, I am not helping you at all. Interacting with other people is sometimes painful. But so what? Pain is a part of this life. If you thought you could isolate yourself enough to live pain-free the entire time you're here, you're fooling yourself. Hell, most of the time it's pain that drives you to isolation to begin with. Or at least discomfort. We should be uncomfortable. We shouldn't be afraid of the pain, especially if there's a chance it could help. Especially if there's a chance it could help. Well, I did warn her. I've been isolated a long time. Maybe you know what that's like. The longer you get isolated, the longer you live in this quiet calm, this peace, or whatever. Maybe you don't build your isolation to be quiet and calm. Mine is certainly quiet and calm. Maybe yours is noisy and loud and vibrant. I don't know. But it seems like extroverted traits, but seems unlikely for the introverts. Why be here at all? And if you can propose that question, if you can say, why be here at all? We are here. We are here. Being here is sometimes uncomfortable. Being here is sometimes painful. But if that's the case, we should find those things that make it worthwhile. Because I think that this message I got from a friend, there were a lot of things about them that made the entire experience worthwhile. And even when it goes badly, you can find good things about the interactions we have with other people. And if you can't find good things about the other people, then you really need to examine yourself further. I get it. In isolation, we tell ourselves that other people are certain things, and those certain things that other people are encourage us to isolate ourselves further. But we don't really know what goes on inside their minds. See, I often talk about psychology as this thing of the past, but it gave us a great vocabulary. And one of the greatest things that psychology gave us was the conceptualization of projection. I don't know what's in her mind. I project into what I expect to be there. And that is that's useful. That's how we have survived on this planet. But it's also me. It's me projecting into that other person. When you do it, it is you projecting into that other person. And if what you find when you are projecting is nothing but trouble or discomfort or pain, and yet you remain isolated, you have some damage to heal yet. And I think that if you watch my talks, and I try to tell you things like how to locate your power or how to quiet your mind in order to do the things that you want to achieve, that damage is a really good place to start. As an example, I woke up today, I checked that message, I was affected by that message. It pointed out things that I need to work on. I have two choices. I could just sit here and get angry about it and just write that person off. They don't know what they're talking about, or oh, they lied, or oh, they hurt me so badly. Just ignore the points that they made and move on with your life, because how could they be right about you? They don't understand you. Or you can take them honestly, point by point, and look for the accuracy. Just stop assuming that they're going to be wrong for a minute and look for the accuracy. Now, if there's no accuracy whatsoever, if they're clearly wrong or clearly hurt and lashing out, I don't think you should base your future on this sort of thing. But if they are right, if they make good points, then they've given you a place to start, something to work on. And the whole point of my talks is trying to give the tools we need to find the things we need to work on and the tools we need to work on those things. It doesn't matter to me if you do it in isolation like I do, or maybe it's, honesty always has some upside. No, maybe not always. Generalizations are dangerous, but either way, find what motivates you. What motivates me is trying to help people. And take the criticism, take the discomfort, take the pain, and use it to grow. Because the alternative is further stagnation and continuation of pain and discomfort, revolving these memes around in your mind and being driven by them. And if there is one thing I want you to know, is that if you can find something that is driving you and turn it into something that could fuel you, that's a victory. That's exactly what victory looks like for us. And you know what? If you have caused harm, you should apologize. You should apologize. You should understand what it was that made you cause harm. Work on that, yeah, you found something to work on. But you should also apologize. Because we're all equal in this thing. We're all stuck in the same situation. We're all dealing with the same problems, with the same... we're here. This society is going the way it's going. It doesn't do us as a social group any good for us to just spin those things and just let them drive us. It doesn't do us any good. We need more people that are going to take those things about themselves, work on them, take that experience and help other people work on them. Because we have a ton of work to do here. There's a ton of work to be done here. There is a lot of glory to be found for us. It's not my usual content, but maybe it's too reactionary. I don't know. But I was feeling some kind of way, and I felt like maybe it could be useful for you. Thanks for your time. Have a good day.